recording on this computer.
Recording in
It's
progress.
in progress.
Recording in progress.
That's right. It's
All
like,
right, let me pull my notes back up, make sure they weren't fucking deleted or something horrible
okay.
like that.
Sometimes
Yeah, they're all there.
sometimes when you're teaching kids, it's like, should I say the living room, the living room.
Yeah, I can't. I maybe have done too much acid because I always have to do things like that. I can't help it.
It's the living room, kids.
It's the living room.
That's fun.
That's why all my trivia has like, oh, it's someone was in pit pop and the pish posh. Funny
Is that
words.
okay? Is that offensive? Maybe.
Well, you don't have to put that on the Patreon.
It's too late. It's there.
Okay. It's just going straight there.
Yeah, I don't edit this part. I mean, it's not
You know,
on the
you
podcast
do have
feed.
to upload it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I'm going
I don't
to.
know. All
It'll be
right.
uploaded.
Well, sorry, entire continent of Europe.
This-
Anyway. Welcome to Imprisoned in Prison on the Prisoner Prison Cast. I'm your host, Wild Bill Mark. This is your
Bill
other
Mark.
co-host, Wild Bill Matt.
Well, you have the same. You have the same thing twice. That's so lazy.
Speaking of lazy,
I was gonna be rootin' tootin'.
you're rootin' tootin' fresh fruit and
Matt.
pancake Matt.
Yeah, sure. Why not? They don't have cool names in this episode.
No,
They just have number. They don't even have numbers in this
they
episode,
don't
do
even
they?
have numbers. They're just. In fact, I had to find out the one guy was called the Kid from reading trivia online because they never really say
Well, he
he's the
doesn't really
kid.
talk much until the end.
No, but let's face it, he's the most compelling thing here.
Oh God, yeah. He's well. Anyway, we're talking about living in harmony. We're
Living in harmony. The
living
most
in
ironically
harmony.
the most ironically named town ever.
You don't think it's harmonious here?
No.
They just like to drag
All that
people
happens
around.
is people keep getting beat up and killed. There's nothing else. No one does anything else. No one even milks a cow or like I think someone might play the piano once, but mostly
and
it's
then
just
gets
people
thrown
hitting each
across the
other.
room.
It's mostly people hitting each other until someone shoots everyone.
Yeah, I think I wrote the note "sucker punch" like 5 times.
This
Oh,
is
and cigarette sucker burn. I wrote that too.
this is like it's a weirdly repetitive episode because it's probably the most it is the most violent episode of The Prisoner,
Okay,
right? Don't you
why
think?
did this episode? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, why did this episode happen?
Well, let me tell you, amongst other things, in the trivia, David Tomblin, who co-wrote Arrival, that's the pilot, returns to both co-write and direct this episode. He will be back to co-write and direct The Girl Who Was Death. Our other co-writer is Ian Rakoff, a South African filmmaker who mostly worked as assistant editor on films such as You Must Be Joking, Give a Dog a Bone, and Deliverance. Rakoff came up with a basic idea for the episode and based it on his experiences with a leftist group in apartheid-era South Africa, specifically the time another group member stopped him from just straight up shooting a racist during a night out, telling him he needed to be more disciplined if he wanted to become a full member of the group. Coming in at 15th in production order. This is the lowest rated Prisoner episode on IMDb, coming in at a 7.0. But it was still, nonetheless, the episode that Patrick McGowan most enjoyed making. He selected.
Of course
he did. He wanted to be in a Western. He selected this from multiple story ideas presented by remaining crew who didn't leave with George Markstein. So he picked Ian Rakoff's story idea. The episode was actually left out of the American run of the series because CBS was afraid that number 6's refusal to use a gun would be interpreted as an anti-war statement at the height of the Vietnam War. McGowan actually took quick draw lessons while filming Ice Station Zebra, and many of the crew placed bets on whether McGowan or co-star Alexis Canner was the quicker draw, the latter having begun practicing himself while McGowan was off making Ice Station Zebra. In the end, the kid was actually the faster draw in the take used in the episode. If you were wondering, the episode was filmed in England at MGM Borehamwood, Hertfordshire, not in the United States. Speaking of the kid, aka number 8, he's played by Alexis Ganner, as I mentioned earlier. Born in France to a family of displaced Jewish refugees, he ended up in Europe acting in series such as Softly, Softly, and Deadline Midnight. It was decided to make his character in this episode mute to make him more menacing, so he ended up the only main actor in the episode not to have to do a foreign accent. He will contribute a voiceover to one more episode of The Prisoner and then appear in the finale as a different number. Our number 2 this week, aka the judge, aka the mayor, is played by David Bauer. He was an American actor who was born in Chicago in 1917, but he settled in Great Britain during the Red Scare and found most of his success on British television, usually playing crooked Americans. You can also catch him in Flaming Fury, as well as Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nellie. Finally, we have Valerie French as Kathy, aka number 22. She was a British leading lady who was once crowned Miss Galaxy in the early 1950s, then moved to Hollywood in 1954 to try for more roles, meeting with mixed results. She ended up with only 37 acting credits overall, which include Marriage a la Mode, The Hard Man, and The Four Skulls of Jonathan Drake.
He
Trivia.
collected the skulls, did he?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Whether he has 4 heads, that's 4 skulls.
I like the idea that he has one head with 4 skulls in it.
Okay, like a Russian nesting doll.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
I
it's
guess
just like they're just all piled up in a big clump, and he's just skin all over it.
right.
Such a charmer.
You were gonna tell us a story too, I think.
Yes, I am. Here we go. It's summary time. We open on number 6, turning in his sheriff's badge and gun in a western town. He's in a western now. He's a cowboy now. As he's leaving town, he's attacked by several men and then wakes up in a strange other western town, a town called Hahr-muh-nee. He goes to a saloon and meets the mayor of the town, also known as the judge, who wants to hire number 6, but he is not interested. He also meets a bizarre gunman known as the Kid, whose job it is to guard the local jail. The Kid is eager to start trouble, but number 6 is unfazed. After unintentionally inciting a mob, number 6 is put into jail for protective custody, but the mob is allowed to lynch the brother of a saloon girl named Kathy instead. Later, we see Kathy distract the Kid in order to steal his key to let number 6 out because she fears for his life. But then number 6 is just captured again and brought to the bar to face the judge. The judge says he is free to go, but Kathy is guilty of helping him escape, and she is then captured. He then makes a deal with number 6 that if he agrees to become sheriff of the town, he will let Kathy go, and number 6 reluctantly agrees, taking the badge but refusing the gun. The judge then plots to get number 6 to want to carry a gun by having unarmed men attack him again. Number 6 asks Kathy to escape with him, but while he is dispatching guards to clear a way for them to escape safely, the Kid is sent by the judge to kidnap Kathy, but gets entirely too wrapped up in the job and accidentally kills her. Number 6 finds her corpse and gives her a proper burial, and then finally picks up a gun to go and shoot everyone. He starts by having a shootout with the Kid, which he easily wins, and then when the judge shows up to tell him that he has Kathy captive, number 6 informs him that she is already dead, and then he kills all of the judge's men, only to get shot in the head by the judge himself. Number 6 then snaps out of the control of a mind control device that's on his head and realizes that although the Western prop town is real, he's been interacting with cardboard cutouts the whole time, and he's dressed in his usual village attire, and in fact, he's been in a section of the village the whole time. He rushes to the Green Dome and realizes that the judge, Kid, and Kathy are numbers 2, 8, and 22 and have been working him the whole time. After number 6 leaves in disgust, numbers 2 and 8 argue about the futility of the experiment while 22 sulks off. Number 8 follows 22 to the fake saloon, but something isn't right. He starts calling her Kathy and strangling her as if he was still role-playing as the Kid. Number 6 hears her screaming and rushes in, but he's too late. 22 dies in his arms, wishing it had all been real. Right as number 2 arrives, number 8 screams nonsense about the judge hitting him and runs up the stairs and jumps to his death. Western!
Okay, sure. I guess this is kind of like all of Westworld, like all whatever, how many seasons, like condensed into one episode. That's kind of nice.
It, I did see it theorized that this was supposed to be a metaphor for the entire series. Like instead of doing a clip show, they just filtered the entire series through a Western.
That's great. That's the best clip show ever.
I mean,
Even th-
second best. I mean, we have Avatar, The Last
oh,
Airbender.
oh, I thought you were talking about Star Trek Shades of Grey.
No, that is not the best clip show.
Well, that's notorious as a dumpster fire for an episode. Yeah, this one's definitely weird though. And also I thought the kid came across sort of like the man the black or whatever he is in Westworld, Yul Brenner or why can't I remember his name? Style newer man in
Hmm.
black on Westworld.
I don't remember.
He's Ed Harris. Geez, okay, there we go.
Okay, I've only seen the movie. I haven't seen the series.
Okay,
I'm
but yeah,
sorry.
I mean, well, I haven't watched the series either, so I could be completely conflating things. But it has that sort of like Western veneer. They have the the customers and all that, I guess. But yeah, I didn't get that deep in Westworld, so I guess I'll stop talking about that.
Mhm.
Other than it came to mind, especially with the menacing cowboy. How menacing did you find the kid?
Very. I was
Yeah, yeah,
terrified of him.
yeah. I thought they had a good like he kind of had a Pennywise vibe a little bit too.
It was like a Frank Nitti.
They could have put some like some white paint on his face just to really top it off, I think.
Yes, he wouldn't have been out of place in a David Lynch film, which is not something I could say for a whole as advanced or whatever forward thinking as this series is. There aren't a whole lot of people who've been in it who I'd be like, you could just put him in Lost Highway, but you could put that guy in Lost Highway.
Yeah. Now we are sure about Six's past profession in the Western world because he was the sheriff. That's clear.
Yes.
So I
This
don't know.
is a lot like Hammer into Anvil, where I'm like, this is fun to watch and competently made, but it's so repetitive that it's borders on stupid. It's just
If,
like
in this
he
case,
leaves, gets beat up, leaves, gets beat up, leaves, gets beat up, leaves, gets beat up, shoots everyone. That's pretty
yeah,
much the summary. I could have just said that for the summary. Oh, then he wakes up and then everyone dies.
yeah. Well, I said there is something satisfying about watching Six just rip apart everybody.
Yeah, it's good
Eh,
catharsis. I feel like in general, this is good catharsis. Like, what do you want to do if you're stressed out because your series has been such a huge pain to produce? Make a Western and just like take it out by just killing guys over and over.
So yeah, I like that. I
I,
do like also when they have the trial for was it for number 22. I don't Kathy. They
Mhm.
have the verdict before the plea. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, that you could trace that directly back to what Dance of the Dead, Dance with the Dead. Is it Dance
I think
of the Dead or Dance with the Dead?
it's of, but now you're making me doubt myself, which is a very village tactic of you. You must be
It's
number
like
two.
the dance of doubt. Well, you dance the dance of doubt and wonder about. Well, yes, it is. To me, it was as much as I just kind of like crapped all over it by saying it was repetitive and dumb. I do think the ending was great. Like the ending was such a 180 because you really were you expecting you've seen this before. I
You know what?
wasn't
I'm
necessarily
not
sure what
sure
to
I had
expect.
seen this one before, to be honest.
Okay. Were you expecting a tie-in or were you to back to the village or were you expecting that this might just be like a weird like standalone thing and it would just not be explained?
I was expecting we'd get into the village just at the very end, because otherwise it's completely incoherent, right?
But the ending was so dark. I mean, you the thing is that since the episode, obviously isn't reality, you're sort of watching it the whole time like, oh, this is kind of a fun detour. And then the ending is just completely dark. Like you don't this show does not usually end with people just like dying senselessly, and that's just what
Although we
happened.
have we have all the like convincing deaths in Harmony, right, where they get shot and all that sort of stuff. But then I found like the
Yes.
deaths of 8 and 22 were like super unconvincing. Like he just kind of strangles her for like 2 seconds, right, and she's
She
dead.
looks tired. Yeah.
She looks
Yeah,
tired, and then he falls off of the railing, and he's like, it's not that high, like he might
yeah,
have
10 feet.
sprained his back or something. It doesn't seem like he should be dead.
Again, this you can tie this back to Hammer into Anvil, where you see the lady die at the beginning, and it doesn't really make sense. You don't see the guy actually attack her. You don't really see what you see her jump out a window, and then she's just on the street, and that's
Yeah,
sort of the end of it.
that's very Twilight Zone. Okay, but yeah, my last note
Mhm.
is, but it seemed that number six just drove some folks straight onto the death train. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the you could say it's like the fantasy, the leading man fantasy of like she loves him so much from being in his fake western that she just that she can't live without him, and then number 8 can't live without her. I not entirely clear. I guess
Very romantic. Yeah.
it's a weird love triangle that just is like you know what it really reminds me of is Existence.
Yeah, okay. It's been a while since I've seen that, but I was thinking, this actually it's not like virtual reality. It's like, psychedelic drug augmented reality or something, right?
Yeah, it's augmented reality, but nobody knew what no one I don't think anyone could have necessarily foreseen like goggles that would display. Maybe that did exist.
You
I
know
have
what
no
what
idea.
okay, here's the one thing that was really missing from this episode that I wanted after he wakes up and finds the cardboard cutouts. They should have had flashbacks to him interacting with the cardboard cutouts.
Yes, that would have been amazing.
That is high so very missing from this episode that we need a few flashes. Oh, that's what was actually happening.
Just have him like trying to ride a horse, but it's just like a cardboard cutout and it just keeps flopping around.
And he's like
Just have
lying
him
behind
running
it like he's
around
being dragged along, going, oh, by the cardboard cutout. that
like
that
all
would
the he's like shooting all the cardboard cutouts and they're all like beating him up.
right, right.
Yeah. That would have been great.
What else did I have on the list here? Oh yeah, there was that sign for the bishop in the background. Since we've already had like the colonel and the general, I definitely kind of that the poster caught my eye. Like, who's the bishop? Is it another computer?
Probably. Probably a Western guy, I
Yeah,
guess, in this
yeah,
case.
maybe. But well, I'm just thinking, are we gonna get into the bishop now? Because we got hints of the general before we really got to the general, right? So
I think if we got all 26 episodes, then there would have been a Bishop episode and like a Rook episode. We've had a Rook already, haven't we?
well,
We
the
have a
rook
Rook
was in
during
checkmate,
Checkmate, yeah.
but he didn't have any position of power to speak of.
But I guess there's no
Also, the
general in
generals,
chess.
yeah, I was about to say, general and the colonel are not chess pieces either. So,
Has there been a sergeant?
yeah, no, no, come on, that's still that's enlisted men, right?
We need a
We're
corporal. We
talking,
need corporal punishment. I'm
we need,
corporal punishment.
right? We need guys that have commissions, right? That can have a stiff
Sergeant
upper lip.
Slaughter. We need
Sergeant
Sergeant
Slaughter.
Slaughter to come in and be like, I'm Sergeant Slaughter. I'm gonna teach you how to be American. Yo, Joe.
See, that's what should happen in this episode. If he's on drugs anyway, you could have something like that, like Sergeant Slaughter just kind of bursts in because he's tripping. It's one of those things where they
Uh,
don't go. I mean, honestly, obviously they want to make a Western. I get that. But if we're just like, oh, he's tripping and playing with cardboard cutouts, we could get a lot weirder. This
I
episode would
would
be way weirder. I
I
kind of
would
want to,
love that
yeah, I kind of want a
version.
Rover to show up in the Western.
What if Rover shows up and it's like what would Rover be?
A big
Like a
tumbleweed.
cow? Yeah, okay.
Rover's a giant tumbleweed, but that is one thing I thought there was going to be like a rover analogy in the Western town, and I guess there wasn't. So they
They
just
didn't
have,
commit super hard to connecting the dots. I think that's why I wasn't sure there was going to be a connection at the end.
yeah, it really is sort of like McGowan wants to make a Western. Pick up the gun, son. Pick it up. I don't want
Yeah,
to
but he
pick up the
didn't.
gun. Pick up the gun.
So I want you to rate from 1 to 10, rate his American accent.
I was watching pretty late last night, and I guess I just didn't care. Also, keep in mind in my regular interactions, there's so many accents now. I just quit paying attention to what accent I'm hearing.
Nah, I'm gonna say it was pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't was okay. Maybe I didn't
It's
think
like,
he was doing
oh,
an
here
accent.
part, I'm not for hire. It's like that thing.
I feel like I'm gonna have to watch it again now. I don't know. I was perfectly happy watching him be a. No, I don't know. He wouldn't be a cowboy. He was a sheriff, right? So.
No, he was a retired sheriff who was then forced to be a sheriff again, and then wasn't
Resigned
a
sheriff.
sheriff. He quit being a sheriff, and then he was a sheriff again. Then he quit being a sheriff again, and then he was just like a murderer.
Yeah, in both ways. Well, I guess he didn't actually murder those people at the end. They just died. But
Well, I mean, vigilante. Yeah, he didn't murder. He didn't murder people in real life.
I'm talking about the village people. Yeah, he just murdered
The
some
village
cardboard
people.
cutouts,
You
I
got to
guess.
stay at the death MCA.
Mm-mm-mm.
I can't believe it took us this long to make a village people joke. This is like episode 14 or something,
Yeah, yeah,
13.
yeah. We were so close, and you just screwed it all up. So,
Good. That's what I'm here for, is to throw the wrench. Um, yeah, this is fun. It was dumb fun.
oh, here's another sign. So I mentioned
Mhm.
the bishop or whatever. There was
Yeah.
also one. What those prickly pear beers? It's just I don't know. Okay, I guess it makes more sense reading it today. But prickly pear beer. Somehow those words together
It's
just
like
don't look right.
I guarantee you I could find a prickly pear beer at a brewery here now, but that
Maybe
probably
it's
wasn't something that would exist in like 1860 or whatever it is.
right. Maybe it's because it's prickly Ley at the end. Prickley. Is that right?
I didn't notice that.
Okay, I that sign I just saw it and I like had to think about it for a second because it doesn't roll off the tongue and it doesn't roll through the brain well.
I don't know. Prickly pear. When I think prickly pear, I think of like a refreshing fruity taste. I don't know if that's accurate, but
Mm.
it seems like a flavor of Snapple or something, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Um,
It wouldn't actually stab you when you drink it, probably. Maybe in the
so
Old West it would.
I was definitely down with the Wild West fashions here. I mean, at least as far as they're aping the Hollywood ones and not what people in the West actually wore, right?
I mean,
But
yeah, they
the
probably
costumes are
just
hip.
had wardrobe that was sitting there. And, this is a bunch of just
I mean, you just got to get
stock.
someone in a nice work clothes in a hat, right? So it's not that hard.
It's,
But it does look, even filmed in England, it felt like it had a nice Western look to it. It looked right
I mean,
for the most part.
yeah, I just like, I know I've said this before. I'm not like a huge fan of Western stuff because all of it is just so repetitive. It's like at
Yeah.
least eh, to, I mean, to be fair, a lot of space stuff is repetitive too because again, they're just reusing props. I I kind of am more interested in stuff where, like The Prisoner, where they're using a weird town and they have props that are not particularly repurposable.
Well, yeah, you have to, right, exactly. And then this episode, you do have to be thinking, why? I mean, it doesn't feel quite as dry as a Western because you're trying to work out what the mind game is too. And you know there is
Mm-hmm.
one, right? Even if it's on the viewer,
Mm-hmm.
which is, it's on both, I guess, in the end. So that's cool.
I
Um,
wasn't entirely sure. I was thinking that it might really just be, well, it wraps up like a Western wraps up, and then maybe he just wakes up at the end. But I didn't.
like he was just having a nice sleepy time. Like this is what number six's normal dreams are.
I assumed that since there was pressure being put on him to say why he quit being the sheriff, that there was some kind of outside influence. But
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. Anyway, that throws a wrench in the normal Western thing. I think for me, Western is just too brown usually.
hmm
So I tend to
yeah,
prefer a Western if it's like a 1930s like black and white one, right?
I mean, my favorite Western is actually The Proposition, which is an Australian Western. It's just like completely different. It's different enough, and it's also incredibly violent, like
Yeah.
RoboCop level violent.
See, if I'm gonna watch a Western, I probably want like a singing cowboy or something, you know?
Well, that's the other thing is you don't get a singing cowboy in that movie, but you do get the Nick Cave soundtrack. And
Oh,
there's
that's
parts where
cool.
Nick Cave sings to you. So if
Okay.
that appeals to you, I'd highly recommend that film.
Little different Gene Autry, but sure.
Yes, yes, I believe that Nick Cave would be a little not a like 100% different, but
But
that would be
anyway, this had just enough color splash of 60s mod, I think, to kind of throw it off the norm. Like the kid, definitely with his weird red long
yes.
johns. You get that, and
The
number
bright
six
red
has a
blood.
very blue. Yeah, the bright. We're getting proto wild bunch blood.
Yeah.
Number six is quite blue, so you get some blue there. That's nice. It's yeah.
I think Kathy is actually pretty colorful. I've actually found her really compelling. Like the thing is, even if this episode was kind of dumb, the principal cast was like great.
Oh yeah,
Like
was it Alexis
even for this
Corner? Was it
show, yeah, or
that? I'd say
Valerie
he's
French
yeah,
also,
yeah.
but both of them are all three of them are great actually in this. They really
Little
even if the
observation: they're a
Mhm.
little younger than the normal prisoner guest stars. Might that have something to do with it?
Possibly.
Like they feel a little more lively because they're not like 55.
Yeah. Yeah, they just yeah, I guess we don't usually have like actors that are trying to like kind of make out with each other and stuff. Like that
Yeah.
that is actually unusual for this show. Um
I mean, I'm
but
thinking who
yeah, she
stands
has
out. For me, I guess the number two who didn't understand the show at all from Hammer and the Anvil. He kind of, or was it It's Your Funeral? The guy that,
It's Your Funeral. That's the guy who was sort of like he was in the Monkeys or something.
yeah. But
It's
I
like,
think
"Hey
it's,
man."
I think it's pretty common that actors don't understand the show in this series. I don't think it was just him. I think it was lots of people.
That's entirely possible. I mean, the fun thing is that this guy was an American who had to do a British accent. We almost never, if that might be the only case of that in the entire series.
Yeah. But anyway, the yeah, I feel like the guest cast in here like kind of stood out like even more than
Hmm.
usual. So that was kind of cool. Oh, here's a
Yeah.
question for you.
Okay.
Would you rather live in harmony or live in paradise with David Lee Roth?
Wait, is Living in Paradise? Is there like a film where David Lee Roth is in paradise?
No,
I'm
that's
not
his hit
familiar.
song. That's it from his solo career. Just
Okay,
like living in paradise.
I'll straight up say I'd rather live in the village than live in Harmony.
Well, I didn't give you that choice. That wasn't one of
Okay,
the
I'll live in
choices.
paradise with David Lee Roth then. Harmony sucks. I don't want to live there. That's off. That's the worst place we've seen in the entire series. I'd rather live on the boat where the German guys are trying to kill me
That was
than
act.
like
Oh, not
any
that
Happy
boat.
Returns boat.
Sorry, my other one was like, would you rather live in what was it? Sorry, I have a note for that, which I guess I'll tell you in a moment because it was I was just
Okay.
like it was entertaining how close you were coming to what I had written down, um, which I now cannot find. So you have to say something interesting then.
Something interesting then.
I was hoping it was going to take like longer than that.
Throw in the wrench.
Go on the
Um,
range.
so yeah, the basically these episodes that are referred to as the padding episodes, which are the episodes after George Markstein left and before the finale. Um,
Yeah, I
Patrick
think that's why
McGowan.
maybe I haven't seen it before because I like kind of
Mhm.
like there was no appeal to watching these except that we're doing a podcast and we have to do them now. And this one was quite enjoyable to watch. I liked watching it, you know?
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't, it's well, like Cameron Anvil, it's stupid, but it was like fun to watch
It's like
because
smart
you're just
stupid
watching
though.
fun stuff.
It's like watching smart people be stupid, you know?
It's watching smart people maybe misunderstand how smart westerns actually are. If that
Oh,
makes
here,
any sense. Like, yeah,
yeah.
I make a western. You get beat up and you go back to the saloon and you get beat up again. You go to jail and you make out with a guy and take his key and let the prisoner out. And then you beat up the guards and then you shoot everyone. That's western,
Yeah.
right?
That works. Okay,
Um,
here I did find my note by the way. It was my other
let's.
choice, which was Guns and Rye and Harmony or playing on the boat in the village, the one with the broken people.
Oh,
That because
okay,
that's yeah. When you
weird.
said, I thought you were going to reference that boat, but you're referencing the German
No,
for many happy returns. Okay.
uh, yeah, but it's like there was a lot of points in the trivia about Ian Rakoff basing this on his like experience with the leftist group, but it's like there isn't that much there really. There isn't a whole lot to this. It's sort of like when people want to do, I don't know, if this was came out now, maybe they'd be like, let's do a zombie episode, but like zombie movies aren't about zombies. It's like westerns that are good aren't really about just being a cowboy and shooting
About
people,
sucker punching and shooting, but
There
I
has to
like
be about
again.
something.
This is a complete faux western, right? Like in every
Hmm.
sense of the word. Like
Yes.
these are what
It's
the Russian or the British higher ups or whoever is in charge constructed, right?
You could also just argue that this is a perfect example of dream logic. And yeah, if you had a dream that you were in a Western, it probably would be like this. You're just like, well, I have to beat up guys again, and then I
you're
end up
kind
in
of
jail
stuck in a
again.
loop. You can't really get
Hmm.
out of town. Yeah.
So
That's
it works perfectly as a dream logic episode about being in a dream or a
so
VR
so
game.
again, I guess that getting to my normal question, what's the mind game here? Is it just to like trip him out on LSD and put him in a situation make the set and setting so weird that he just like starts spilling the beans like a babbling idiot? Is
Well, we
that the goal?
basically know what the mind game is because numbers 2 and 8 are arguing about it at the end, and the mind game was just to get him to confess, and then they obviously it didn't work, and it's really interesting that number 8 is like, no, it's your fault. You messed up. Where clearly it's number 8 whose like entire fault it was. Like he's the one who in the game strangled the lady to death, and then he lost control and strangled her again in real life, and then jumped off a building. It's like that's one of the most interesting. That's why I said the ending really makes this episode great.
So the
It's
mind game
because
worked on him. It worked on the wrong person,
yeah,
basically.
it really did. It worked on the wrong person in like a weird subtle way, which is why it reminds me of Existenz, because I don't want to completely spoil that movie because I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it, but there's basically most of that movie is in a VR space, and there's a thing where the real life spills into it and out of it, the
Right.
themes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I saw it. I think I saw it with you opening night, and that's the last time I saw it. So
I think that was last time I saw it too. But
okay.
I usually watch movies once because I'm a psychopath.
I guess it's
Um,
stuck in your head better. Okay.
yes. Well, that's a good way to remember movies. Never watch them more than once, and then none of them take precedence over the others.
Mm. Oh, interesting. For the shootout scene in my notes, I just wrote, "Oh, he's quitting again." I mean, I guess that's one way people quit their job sometimes.
I was kind of surprised that he ended up shooting people. I thought he was going to stick to his non-guns and then not ever shoot anyone. And then he was just like, "All
He did
right,
not
that's it."
Batman in the end.
No,
Just like Affleck did in Batman. He starts
he
shooting people very
reverse
straight away.
he reversed Batman. Well, I mean, remember Batman Returns when Batman like turns his car around backwards and sets a clown on fire in the first 1 minute of the film? I
Honestly, not
mean,
really.
that did happen.
That one never really gelled with me.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I
My
don't know
favorite
what
Batman.
that's. I mean, a lot of people say that. I don't know
It's
something
the
about.
weird one.
Hmm.
It's the weird one. I mean, there's no like way around that. Like I think that is the weirdest Batman film, with possibly Batman Begins being the second weirdest, or
I
maybe
feel
the
like
Dark
all the
Knight.
'90s ones are pretty weird.
But like I actually disagree. I think Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are like completely non-weird.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
think they're actually so campy that there's no weirdness because everything is sort of like so surface level that nothing matters. Like
Oh,
it
so
can't be
you need like
weird.
an attempt. You need an
I
attempt
need
to.
I need things like the part where I'm trying to think of a good example of like um just a casual example of weirdness that wouldn't exist in a campy Batman movie is like just remember in RoboCop where it's like Dick Jones threatens that guy and he just like they're in the bathroom and he just like kind of shoves his hand all over his face,
Yeah, yeah.
gets all up in his face, like that kind of thing. That's what I want in Batman movies. I want people to just get really uncomfortable with each other. Like the
Well,
thing
that
where the scarecrow is in it and he just like is kind of like freaking out and just gave Batman drugs and is getting all up in his face. And I only saw that one once too, but
this series has a lot of that. So I guess this is your kind of weird.
yes. Yes. Oh, the kid from this episode. Yes, that is my kind of weird. Like you would fit right in Batman Returns. You could just put him in there. It would be totally. He could just be hanging out with Christopher Walken. It would totally make sense.
Okay, I can go with that. I don't know what it is about that one. It never got to me, but yeah, it's almost like I want to that to be my favorite, but it's not.
Well, it's interesting to
Maybe
me
it's
how
not colorful
Gotham
enough.
City. Well, it's interesting to me how Gotham City is all different. Like in that movie specifically, it's kind of like a snow globe.
Mm,
While it's like in the first Burton Batman, Gotham City is more like sort of a neon washed type. It's more of an 80s look. And
yeah.
Batman Returns, it turns way more into like a Burton thing. Like it looks more like where Edward Scissorhands would just live.
Mm,
And I also feel pretty strongly that Batman Returns kind of had a Gotham City that looked interesting, and then The Dark Knight, Gotham City was just Chicago.
yeah. Would that make sense too? I mean,
It
see,
makes
I'd say
sense, but
that's
it
a less
sucked.
weird approach.
I mean, it sucked. The actual, like the movie was good, but the actual like city itself sucked.
Which is Chicago. Okay, I
I mean,
can
I
see
like
that.
Chicago. I love Chicago. Don't get mad at me, Chicago. I mean, you our number two this week is from Chicago. I love Chicago, but it's not Gotham City. It's not like
I heard, was it New York is Gotham in the day and Chicago's Gotham at night?
I guess it makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I feel like they should just do a Gotham City that's just New Orleans. Like
Mm,
that's Gotham. That should be a comic book movie world. That's part of why Bad Lieutenant Port of Call New Orleans is the best superhero movie.
okay. Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
That's the best Batman movie. I
Although
don't know. I don't know if Nick Cage is the Joker or Batman. I think he's the Joker, but no
I
one's
think
Batman.
yeah, I think Color Out of Space has replaced that as my favorite crazy Nick Cage movie though.
I honestly feel like those are neck and neck. I love both of them. They're both
Oh
fantastic.
yeah, yeah, they're definitely. I mean, they're both the contenders, right? So, um, I
I'm
guess
so happy that what's his name? Richard Harris? No, that's not his name.
Ed Harris. I already had to remember Ed Harris's name once.
I'm
Oh, you mean
sorry,
the
I have to
director?
look it up. Richard Stanley. I'm happy
Yeah,
that Richard Stanley is making films after his Island of Dr. Moreau is taken away from him.
he's still in that.
He is in it. He snuck in.
Yeah, and got some of a bunch of
But he
makeup,
was
and
the
he's like,
director though.
but he wasn't when he was in the background. He had already quit and
He was
disappeared.
the
And
director. He was the
he,
director and he had this awesome concept art for a really cool take on the film, and then it was taken from him, and then he went insane, did a bunch of drugs, and snuck into. Anyway, see the film Island of Lost Souls. That is also a fantastic film. You've seen that, right?
better than I've heard the
Better than the
stories
Island of
from it.
Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just love that story that that he's still in the film after going on a wild bender after getting pushed off of the film. So that's cool. I mean that's some prisoner stuff. Like that's just number six level stuff.
Yeah, you could really make an entire series about the making of that film, and it would be very prisoner like. I think.
So I felt like the weirdest and most magical moment here is when he's waking up in the saloon and you hear the marching band in the distance. I thought that was
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a great touch.
Yeah. But does that mean the village is actually set up like Disneyland, like the Port Million area is like Fantasyland, and then this is like Frontier Town or whatever? Do they have a Tomorrowland? Let's go Tomorrowland. Maybe that's where the girl who is death lives. I don't know.
Yes, maybe that's like Funeral Town or something.
Yeah, yeah. Funeral Town.
Yeah, that's in the what
Adventureland.
Epcot, Funeral Town, right?
Yeah, we could get number six up in that Tarzan tree or something.
They should
Although
do
I
a
guess
thing
it'd have to
where,
be Swiss Family Robinson the '60s, but yeah.
I mean, if I ran Disney World, then there would just be a big giant jar where if someone tries to scatter your ashes, if you scatter someone's ashes at Disney World, they vacuum them up and just dump them out. So what I would do is just if someone tries to scatter your ashes at Disney World, we vacuum them up, put them all in the jar, and the jar just starts getting more and more filled with ashes, and you go there and it like plays
Oh, there's a Death
music
Jar.
that's like it plays like the minor key It's a Small World the whole time.
Where is the jar? Is it next to It's a Small World?
Yes. It's just behind it.
Because originally I was envisioning it like right in front of the castle, but
It
you
can't
know,
be it can't be near the haunted mansion because that works like that's too not ironic enough.
I don't know though if you're like because it's like happy ghosts and there's like there's all these actual remains of dead people that would still.
That's why you can't do it. You have to put it in like the happy place. You have to put it
But the whole place is
And
supposed to be
like
happy.
that castle, that big castle, put it there, right in front of
Okay,
it.
well, that was my that yeah, that's why that was my first image of where you
Oh,
put the
okay,
death
sorry.
jar. Yeah. Is it how
Yeah.
big is it just like a 10-foot tall jar?
Yes.
Okay. Is it open at the top? I mean, can people like just dump it in
No, no,
themselves? So you have to
no.
you have to want to scatter it somewhere in Disneyland, and then
Yeah.
like employees
Once a
like
day.
Pluto and
Yeah.
Donald Duck
Once a
have to
day,
collect
like
it because
Pluto.
they clean the
Yes.
parks and stuff.
Yes. Once a day, Pluto and Donald Duck and Goofy just like march up and they're like, do, 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 do. It's like at 4 p.m. and they do, 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 and they dump the more of the ashes into the jar and then they go off to do something else.
That's why it's such a magical place. Okay.
It truly
Anyway,
is.
the point is, I think that we need to
No
start
one.
considering that the village does have themed lands because we've now seen two.
I think they just have a lot of prop builders. Like I feel like they just were
What
torn
else?
down this village, this
What else are the
saloon.
crazy people on the boat going to do? They build the boat. They're bored of the boat. They need something else. They build a western town.
I suppose so.
Next, they'll build Space Mountain.
Could you imagine if there was a series just about the people who had to build all the stuff that is just to mess with number six?
Is number two's dome kind of Tomorrowland? Would that count as tomorrow? I mean, but that's not really a land.
I
That's
wish
inside a building.
that's the planetarium. Is there a
Yeah.
planetarium at Disney World?
No.
Really? Seems
They had
like there
like
should be.
they had like 360 theaters. Why would they have a planetarium at Disney World? That's too
Uh,
educational. Epcot doesn't. Epcot has like kind of one at the top of Spaceship Earth, I guess. But
I went to the one at the Air and Space Museum the most recent time I went there, which is probably like 6 years ago now. But they you know how typically planetariums have like just stuff projected some on some areas of the dome, but then the stars were projected everywhere. They had some kind of thing where they were just projecting video all over the whole thing, and it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
Neil
yeah.
deGrasse Tyson.
That's what you do now. I saw twice actually at the Science Museum near here where they it was like Drymon at the planetarium, and Drymon goes through like time tunnels and it's being projected on the entire thing, and you're just like ah.
That
And then
sounds awesome.
it was awesome. And then we went to another one, planetarium, like in this town. That one's in the next town over, and their chairs were too small, and they like you
Uh-huh.
couldn't comfort like they weren't built for people as tall as me, so my head would just like fall off the back, and it sucked.
Oh, that sucks.
So I
I
don't want to go
saw
back to that planetarium, but I'll go back to the Drymon one for sure.
I saw it was Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about background radiation, which I think most people would hear that and that sounds boring to them, but
No, this
background
is
radiation is
Drymon and his
really
friends
exciting.
traveling through time, so this was pretty exciting.
Okay. That is pretty exciting, but like background radiation though, pretty cool.
They met a dinosaur, and it was projected on the entire planetarium screen.
Okay. I mean, I probably would pick that actually over the background radiation.
Yeah, because then he was, well, actually,
I mean, I like it's comforting to hear Neil deGrasse Tyson talk like Yoda and talk about stuff. Background radiation.
You've seen the Key and Peele sketch where he's making excuses to his wife.
I think I have seen that. It's just been
Yeah,
a while.
that one's fantastic, and he's like, trippy effects are coming out of nowhere. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, do
um,
you think Neil deGrasse Tyson would be? Do you think they could keep him in the village if they caught him?
yeah, for sure. Well, he'd have to be a number two, wouldn't he? Doing weird experiments on people.
Wow, that's a great idea. What if
They,
we just pitch a remake of The Prisoner where it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson is number two? Well,
well,
I
they
guess we
tried it with Ian McClellan.
have a bunch of number twos, but one of them could be Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Who would be number six? Adam Driver?
nah, he's
It's
got
too
the
he's
wrong
too
intensity. It
he's too scary.
That's a weird thing about Patrick McGowan is it's very hard to capture his vibe.
I feel
And
like if you could
it's
take
not even
Schwarzenegger and make him really small and speak English, that would work really well.
that
But
doesn't make
that's
any
impossible.
sense, but yeah.
I mean, he has that, but I feel like he has that like Schwarzenegger intensity. Like I feel like there's definitely you could draw a line. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just even to the point where he's sort of playing the same guy over and over and has a catchphrase.
because I mean, most of the guest stars are probably technically better actors than McGowan, but he just has his weird special sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, like Schwarzenegger.
because he only has screamy mode and like about to explode mode, right? So those are
Yeah.
McGowan's two modes.
Which one? Which episode was it where he was screaming more than usual? Was that It's Your Funeral, or was it the one
I
after
think
that?
that or Hammer and Anvil. No, Hammer and Anvil. He was just like doing his own mind game, so I guess he wasn't screaming as much. So maybe it
He
was
was
yeah,
pretty
it's your
calm
funeral.
in that, just
Yeah, it must have
calmly
been
listening to albums over and over.
the same one. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. But those are the two modes of Magooin, more or less, right? So,
Hmm.
but they work. So yeah, it's kind of yeah. It's hard to think of who would do that nowadays. I mean, they again they tried it, didn't they? So we have a 6 episode one you can look at to see how that might play out if we
Yeah,
felt like
Jesus versus Gandalf.
yeah. That should have been the name of the show. That would have been a hit.
Maybe, who knows? We don't know how it ends. Maybe
Yeah.
he just gets crucified by Gandalf at the end.
Oh, I thought they were gonna have like a magical battle or something.
Maybe
That'd be better.
Gandalf
um,
the White versus Jesus the Red.
okay. So anyway, I think I feel like we've pretty much finished on this one. So
Hmm.
next time is for those keeping track will be the girl who was.
Death.
I thought you'd scream it. Okay. Sure.
We can't do the same thing 4 times.
Sure you can.
Five.
Repetitive that happens in this episode, right? In and out of capture and then shoot everybody.
Yeah, but the difference between me and this episode is I don't live in a Western town, and if I did, I wouldn't just beat the same guy up over and over.
Where do you live in the world of podcasting?
Uh, on this show,
Oh, okay.
in prison, the prison or prison cast. Podcastio Podcastius Network. Find us at patreon.com/podcastio podcastius. We
We do
also
podcasts.
have many other quality podcasts, such as Filth. Wait, I already messed it up.
Films or
Films
filth.
and Films or Filth.
Yeah. You choose.
The
What is
Citizen
it?
Kane of podcasts.
Yeah.
The Game Show. The game show about games. Luke Loves Pokemon. Monster Mash. Time Enough podcast. The Twilight Zone podcast.
I
The
think they
Cult
ran
Disney.
yeah.
What? What's that?
I think they ran out of monsters on Monster Mash. I think they're talking about Zelda now.
Oh, neat.
Okay.
Zelda
Because this
is,
is
but what
late.
is the Zelda is the scariest monster of all.
Yeah. So I don't know what the title is. Sorry, folks. I'll probably know it when this airs, but I
Oh,
I can't quantumly transmute
well,
that title to my brain of now.
well, that's actually great because I can actually listen to that podcast because I've played like an hour of Monster Mash or Monster Hunter games, but I've definitely played at least 12 Zelda games.
Yeah. Even I've completed a few Zelda games, so
Which ones? What's your favorite?
I did the super old school ones, like uh a link in
CDI one?
time or yeah, not that one. Like a link in time, is that it?
A
A
Link to
link
the Past?
a link to the past, thank you. Yeah, I
Very
played
good
that and
choice.
yeah, and then I played the DS ones, the Spirit Tracks and the boat thing.
Which one did you prefer out of those two?
The boat one.
Yeah,
But
I
I
did
can't
too.
remember the name of it now.
Phantom Hourglass.
Okay, that sounds better than the boat thing. Okay, good.
The boat Zelda, The Legend of Zelda, the boat thing. No, my favorite is Breath of the Wild. I don't care if you hate weapon breaking. I think it's awesome. And I'm blocking off a bunch of my calendar to play Tears of the Kingdom in a couple months. So,
That's where you'll
yeah,
find Mark. Okay.
that's where you'll find me on Hyrule. In Hyrule.
Hmm. There, that made I was thinking about what you would say there. That's
Okay,
okay.
that's good
Nice
enough.
fizzle out.
I think that was a good like we had a good like manic time talking about this crazy fucking episode.
So I don't know how well we get crazy at the end. Again, I don't think I've seen the girl who was death either.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. I mean, I knew there was gonna be a Western episode and was dreading it, but it was
Hmm.
actually pretty fun.
Change
So
of mind.
yeah.
I'm looking at my little booklet.
Yeah, Change of Mind was actually made kind of way earlier. It's like the ninth. It's the ninth episode, but it's meant to be the next to last. I think.
Oh, it seems the next one's going to be the quote unquote comedy episode.
What? Oh, damn. Really?
It says I'm just looking at the first part here without reading too far in. Except for the final two part of the Prisoner series was about to be over, all bar the shouting. In full party mode, the makers decided to run a spoof episode.
Oh my God. Wow.
So,
Maybe it's funny because I keep being like the girl who is death, and
well,
it's gonna be like nothing like that at all.
I
Okay,
think
that's
it's
gonna be
gonna.
a good conversation then.
I think it's actually good that because if we just start watching it and we're like, wait, what?
I didn't actually get to finish my thought earlier where I was like, he said that the filler episodes that were made between like when George Markstein left and the finale were supposed to be like visually, they were supposed to be visually different, but still have the message that violence doesn't solve anything.
That
Like,
well,
did you feel like this episode did feel like violence isn't, you're supposed to think violence didn't solve anything.
and
Did
then
you
he
feel that
shoots
way
everybody.
about, did you feel that way about the fucking mind switch one? Because I don't think that it was like that at all.
Yeah.
That was just fucking nonsense. But I guess,
Well, the nonsense teaches you that violence doesn't solve anything, I guess.
also, I mean, he did actually just solve a bunch of things with violence in this Western episode.
Yeah, about to say shot everybody.
Yeah, it solved everything. It got him out of the. I mean, even though he got shot in the head, but it got him out of the mind control thing. So that like did solve everything.
It was worth it.
Yep.
um. Anyway, let me see what the so
But
next
yeah,
Sunday night
Once
is
Upon a
another.
Time was made sixth, and that's the next to last episode. So that's really interesting.
Right. Right.
But sorry, next week, what were you saying?
There's lots of loud noises. Loud noises.
Not here.
Somebody's doing something, I guess. Okay. I mean, it doesn't come through on my mic or anything. I'm just like, what's going on? What was I think? Next Sunday night is that Twilight Zone thing, but an hour later. Same time for me, hour later for you.
Okay. I do
Um,
the girl death girl.
well, I was gonna say I'll figure something out because next Monday night for you, I'm actually doing a Twilight Zone. So, I guess we
Oh,
could do
that
it.
Midnight Sun or whatever it is.
No. I'm doing a different one with a different person.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it's on the schedule. Although I could probably do it after that if you wanted to. Yeah, if you want to go like real
Whatever.
late seas, you don't care. When do you go
I
to
don't
bed?
have I don't have anything on the calendar for those days like at all. So
Okay, so maybe like a 10 o'clock for both of those or something.
okay,
We'll do the
that should
trick.
be pretty easy.
I still I don't have my paper scheduled next week. I don't think Midnight Sun's like priority yet. I almost think we maybe it's worth continuing just hammering out the rest of the prisoners, and then
Hmm.
probably maybe next week sometime I'll want to do the next the 2001 a space travesty,
Okay.
which I keep wanting to call a sex odyssey for some reason.
There probably was a movie called 2001: A Sex Odyssey, right?
I'm sure there is, but I keep thinking I'm about to watch a smutty movie, but I don't think that's what this is. Exactly, I think it's just a stupid movie.
Sorry, it's called 2002: A Sex Odyssey.
Oh, okay. So no,
Oh,
this
there's
is
also no, there is. I'm sorry, there is 2001: A Sex Odyssey.
okay. Anyway, this one's a space travesty. So
Yeah,
don't watch
I've
the one.
not seen this. I did actually, to be fair, I did see a lot of like shitty Leslie Nielsen movies. That was just like the point where I stopped watching, like right before that came out.
Right. So that should be
So I'm
same here, I think. So
so I'll definitely feel like it's something that I deserve to have watched because I fell for it a bunch of other times. It's like,
yeah, for sure. Okay. Anyway, I'll catch
all
you, I
right,
guess, in 48 hours for Eater.
48 hours sounds good.